And so the present tour, the Road to Unzen, was based on this concept of not just Nagasaki and Unzen, but the road from Unzen that was traveled by foreigners in the late 19th century, early 20th century. And the tour started in Nagasaki and started with information and explanations about, for example, I mentioned the NYK steamship service, the Nagasaki-maru and Shanghai-maru, and the sort of the romance of ocean travel at that time. And then we got on a vehicle and traveled, took a sort of a slow route from Nagasaki to Mogi via Tagami, which in fact was sort of a restover in the 19th century when it was traveled by jinriksha and horse carts. And from there, going down through bamboo groves and very pristine sort of fields and everything. And much of that natural environment remains to this day. And so we were able to enjoy the scenes that foreigners would have seen with their own eyes as they traveled down to Mogi. It was a trip of about 1 hour or 1 or 2 hours, and then we arrived in the little port of Mogi. And Mogi, the town of Mogi, also has a fascinating history dating back to the Portuguese period when it was a Christian enclave, and there was a church there, and most of the population were Christian. And it has a beautiful location on Tachibana Bay, looking across Tachibana Bay to Amakusa. And so we were able to stop there and to enjoy scenes in the port, and also to visit the Kannon Shrine, which is a shrine on the edge of the historic town, which is slightly of an elevation. There's an old stone beacon there that we were able to compare with old picture postcards, and it remains to this day. And to enjoy an explanation from a local expert about the history of the shrine and of the port of Mogi in general. Then after that, we got on a bus and went down the coastline, enjoying views of Tachibana Bay, and arrived in Obama. And we had lunch in Obama, a beautiful lunch that in a way was sort of recreated by a local restaurateur, but it was really wonderful, and it really sort of harked back to the late 19th century, 20th century, and foreigners would travel from Mogi to Obama in small ships, and then enjoy a relaxing stay in Obama, and after that go up to Unzen. And also, one of the features this time was what's called the chair kago, which is the traditional Japanese palanquin. Was used by Japanese people at the time. But foreigners, of course, especially women, found that very uncomfortable. And so during a certain period, foreign women were were arranged so that they could sit on a chair and were carried physically up the hillside to Obama. And that chair kago was recreated, and we were able to experience that and see what it was like. And so after enjoying Mogi and then Obama, we continued up the hillside to Unzen, stopping at a place called Kago Tateba, which means the place where the palanquins stopped. It was literally a stopover for the chair kago and for the carriers, of course. And also, men would be riding on horses, and there would be a whole caravan of luggage being carried, because the foreigners would be staying in Unzen sometimes for 5 or 6 weeks at a time. And so they brought huge amounts of luggage with them. And finally, we arrived in Unzen and then stayed overnight. And the following day, again, with the expert guidance of local authorities, we were able to enjoy a place called the Shirakumono Ike, which is a small lake in Unzen. Again, is featured in many picture postcards at the time. And we just relaxed there and enjoyed the atmosphere that the foreigner travelers would have enjoyed at that time. And it was really a wonderful, relaxing stay, and it gave us an opportunity not just to enjoy the hot springs and the hot springs bath of Unzen, but also to see that this unique history of Unzen and the fact that it was loved by Euro-American travelers in this period, and that the European-American travelers were welcomed there, and also they forgot differences among themselves. For example, during World War I, there were German and British and American travelers there, and they were able to stay there and just forget all of the troubles of the world and the war going on in Europe. So, and this is one of, in my research, one very strong impression that I have of Unzen is that it was an enclave of peace and cultural coexistence, and that foreigners and Japanese forgot all of the fences that would separate them in the cities and etc. And so Nagasaki, and then the road from Nagasaki was almost like a road from reality to a kind of Shangri-La in the mountains, very approachable and easily accessible from Nagasaki.